Hello, art friends. We just read the story, The Day the Crayons Came Home. And we have a wonderful project that we are going to be doing today. We are going to be creating our very own crayons. Now you can see I've got two different color crayons here. And if you would like, you can create two different ones as well. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. Step one, we need to get out our watercolor paints today. If it's, they're washable, that's fine. Just regular watercolors are fine. If you happen to not have watercolors, you could use just a crayon of some sort, but ideally I'd say watercolors. You can get them at Dillon's, you can get them at Walmart. There's so many different places that you can get a hold of a watercolor set. All right, so I'm going to get started and I'm going to show you how to create these adorable little crayons. If you take a look at a crayon, you can see for the most part, we've got the color of the crayon at the top and at the bottom. Then we've got the paper in the center that maybe is a slightly different color. And then we've got our black lines. So we want to recreate something similar to what we see in a true crayon. But what we're going to do is decide what color we want our crayon to be. So we want to get out our watercolors, get a paintbrush and some water, and we are going to choose two colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel. So what does that mean? I'm going to choose either red and orange, orange and yellow, yellow green, green and blue, or blue and purple. You have to be right next to each other on the color wheel or the rainbow. As you can see in my examples, a little bit of orange, a little bit of yellow right next to each other. My other example, a little bit of green and a little bit of blue. They're right next to each other. So you need to decide what two colors you're going to use. Now on our paper, you can see that this is I could get two crayons out of this. So one side I painted with two colors and the other side I painted with two colors. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. I think my first set of colors, I'm going to do red and orange. So I'm going to get my brush, I'm going to pick up some water, and you want to add some puddles of water into your paint. Remember, in order for watercolors to actually come to life, you need to add water. So I'm just getting some droplets of water into each of my little containers here, and now I'm going to use my paintbrush and I'm going to stir the paint. And that little puddle of water is now going to become paint. Many of you know I like to refer to it like you're making Kool-Aid. If you don't stir Kool-Aid and you pour the Kool-Aid into a glass, it might look like grape Kool-Aid, but it tastes like water because you didn't stir in the flavor. Same thing goes with our watercolors. If you don't give it a good stir, you won't get that beautiful colored paint. So we want to stir it in, like so. All right, I'm going to start with my red, and I'm going to paint my top, because remember the top of I want my crayon to be red. So I'm going to do the top and the bottom, because that's the actual crayon itself, is the top and the bottom. You might want to put a masking mat or something underneath to protect your tables. Of course, I'm just working at school, so I'm not super worried about it. I can get it cleaned up here in no time afterwards with a wet sponge. I'm going to rinse, and I'm going to do a little bit of that second color in the center because that that paper in the center is slightly different colored. So it's almost going to be like a red-orange because I'm going to blend those two together. So that is, I know it looks like a mess right now, but of course we're going to eventually cut out some crayons. All right, I'm going to go ahead and choose two different colors to do for the other side. You can do the same. And I'm going to go ahead and mix my two colors and get started. All right, there you go. You can see that we are finished with our 2 color sets. I need to set this aside and let this dry, and we'll come back and show you how to complete your crayon. Okay, now that my watercolor is good and dry, I'm gonna go ahead, get a hold of a pencil and maybe a straight edge. It can be a ruler, but honestly, anything that has a straight edge, like a book, will do. Just to provide a guideline for your pencil to create some nice straight lines. Now, of course, a crayon is going to have a nice straight edge up and down, and I'm worried about just making a rectangle at this point. I'm not worrying about this pointed shape just yet. So I'm going to take my ruler, and within the color itself, I want to make sure I don't get any of this white area. I am just going to draw some straight up and down lines to be the outside edges of my crayons. Now again, you don't have to do both of them. You can just do one example. Of course, you can choose which one you like, or you can create 2 different crayons. I'm just gonna focus on the one for right now. All right, I have got my rectangle shape. I'm gonna go ahead and get a hold of a scissors, and I'm gonna cut right along that edge so that we are ready to start to build our crayon. All right, you can see we've got the base of our crayon all cut out. Now I want to come in and create this angled edge here to create the top of my crayon. You can see it's a little short, little line across the top, and then sort of V'd out on the edges. So using my pencil, you can use a straight edge again, or you can just sort of eyeball it. I'm going to make a little mark on either side. You can see those 2 little dashes because that's where I'm going to connect those lines to. And I'm going to make, that will be the top of my crayon. I'm just going to connect those dots, creating that angle like so. So that's the top of my crayon. Go ahead, I'm going to cut those off. Set those aside, and there you have it. All right, now we need to get a hold of some black paper. If you don't happen to have any black construction paper, just a black marker, crayon, whatever will do to create those black stripes on our crayon. So of course I've got some strips already cut, but they're a little bit too thick, so I'm going to cut them down even farther with my scissors, so I can create those stripes. We are going to need our glue at this point. We noticed on the crayon that we had looked at before, there were stripes towards the top and there are stripes towards the bottom. So I am going to glue down my stripes, getting that wrapper to come to life on my crayon. So I like to do 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. I'm using a glue stick, but you can use just regular dot, not a lot glue as well. All right, once we have got the wrapper put on, we've got our black stripes. Again, you can use a Sharpie if you don't have your other options. Black marker would be just fine as well. We are very flexible with our materials. All right, now we want to create some fun sets of eyes. So we need to get a hold of some white paper. You might have some scrap white paper laying around. Even like an envelope would do, just because you just need some areas of white. So we really don't need any special materials here. I have a little scrap left over from a different project, so I'm going to cut a chunk. I want to cut out oval eyes or circle eyes. You can create your eyes. You can see these ones are farther apart. These ones are overlapped. You can make one eye bigger than the other. There isn't really a right or wrong way. If you want 2 of the same size, you can actually just fold it in half, draw a circle or an oval, and then you can cut 2 out at the same time, so you get 2 of the exact same size. So that's kind of a handy little trick to getting 2 of the same sized eyes. But again, you can create your crayon however you want to make him your very own. All right, I'm gonna glue down my eyes. Using glue stick or your Elmer's glue. Bottle glue is fine. Get a hold of a black marker. It can be Sharpie, it can be Crayola, it doesn't really matter. And go ahead and put the pupil in. Kind of looks like he's looking down. He's kind of cute. I like him. Add a face or a mouth if you would like. Color that area in. Now, of course, we need to add arms and legs. And this is, you can stop if you don't happen to have the black construction paper. This would be just fine. But if you want to add the cute little arms and legs, that's kind of a fun little addition. So if you do have some scrap black, now would be an opportunity to cut out his little legs. You even could add little shoes, eyelashes. Honestly, you could really have fun with this. I like to glue the arms, if you flip it over, on the back and the legs here on the front, just so you can really bring your character to life. So let's go ahead and get these finished up. I can't wait to see what you create.